So here's Facebook and Twitter for business, ton of people, and you can see what people are talking about, you know. Obviously people are self-promoting themselves, that's good too. But you know, day to day, I mean, news streams change by the second, but you can see something here already has 2,986 comments, so whatever this guy's talking about is quite, I don't know, pretty engaging. Well, yeah. So these are things that, you know, insights where you get in, and I think the last thing I want to talk about in groups is polls. A lot of times people, if you have a question about a company, you can go into and ask your own poll. Oh, God. Let's just go back. And this is a really good way to start to gather information. Even if, let's say you're not job hunting, but you want to start to gather information about a typical field or vertical, you can create your own poll. And a lot of times here you have a base of 175 million professionals. There's no better group to start polling on. And you can start to ask, let's say this was a Facebook group, hey, what are the toughest questions in an interview? What kind of background do I need? Do I need a particular certificate, Adobe certificate, Photoshop certificate? Do I need something in that to get to Google? And people will do polls. I don't know why, but people just love clicking on polls. And giving you answers. So, you know, to give yourself that much more of a competitive edge, I would highly do that. Have you guys ever seen the stalking tool that we have? Who's read your profile? All right. So this is a good tool just to keep track of. A lot of times people are like, are people paying attention to my resume? Well, when you send in your resume or make some kind of content, let's say at HP, for instance, if someone from there that says, yeah, an HR manager has looked at your profile, that's a good thing. That means you know that people are active. And also, your LinkedIn profile is your 24/7 billboard. It lives when you're asleep, you know, dead asleep at like 2 in the morning, someone in New York might be waking up and starting a search. And so it's incredibly important that you have the most up-to-date information. What are you proud about? What do you like doing? What is going to make you that person that people want to hire? And so I always say that you never know. I wake up every day and I check this just because I think it's so odd. I always find some really weird people looking at me. But it's good to get a sense of what is my profile attracting? What are, you know, and you can cater it. Obviously, people are using the term Mike Kim to find me, but obviously Kamala Harris. I was a co-chair of a finance committee. Zynga is a search word that people are using. If I didn't put Zynga down as a workforce, 2%, that's a large amount of searches. Last year, we had 4.3 billion searches of people. This year, we're about to hit 5.3 billion searches. So 2% of people who are searching for, you know, people type in the word, I want someone that worked at Zynga before. If I didn't put that on my profile, I'm missing out on a huge opportunity, even if I'm not looking for a job. So it's that much more important to put in your profile what you are proud of. And a lot of times people say, what do I write in my summary? I hate talking about myself. You know, I would say, what would your mom say about you? Yeah.
So those are keywords that eventually led to them clicking on your profile and bringing it up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So some of them are really generic, but
yeah, I mean, clearly a lot of people like are searching for Michael Kim. There's like 50 million probably here.
Searching for Mike. I mean, that's, how more generic could it be?
Yeah, so I think what's happening is like it's people are saying M-I-K-E, and then like a drop down obviously shows up people. But people would also let's go back to that. People are obviously searching me on multiple different variables. Now, what you're seeing as well is, let's see here. Let's scroll down there.
And unlike like Google, where it's just literally one box or a keyword, you guys have these really awesome checkboxes and qualifiers. So
right.
I assume there were qualifiers there. Maybe that's, but
absolutely.
That's not shown. Right?
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, there
was Mike, but then it was kind of UC Davis, LinkedIn.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there are a ton of facets, and if we took the time to list all the facets, well, let's see. It's basically every single area in your edit profile becomes a keyword. Whether it's a publication, test score, patents, certificates, any of these areas are things that are in the recruiting product. And so, you know, additional organizations that I work for or sit on boards for, these are all keywords. So I would load it up, you know. And also, one of the sections here is conferences. And had I been more prepared, I would have said, yes, I'm going to the NAAAP conference. and it would show up on my profile that I'm going here. So now let's say you happen to come to my profile and you say, oh shit, like I'm going to that conference too. You now can at least say, like, when you bump into me, like, oh, it's so good to meet you. I had no idea you're coming here. But if you really wanted to meet someone, that's a good way to do it. A lot of executives put down, you know, I'm going to this conference. And if this is a company or people that you desperately want to meet, they're basically saying, I'm going to be here at this time. If you come find me, come talk to me. So it's an important thing to do, to let people know what you are doing and to let people know what others are up to. Let's stop right there for a second. Anyone have any questions on the things we went through? It's a lot. I know we went through advanced search, the alumni tool, the API, groups, companies, insights. Yeah?
One, I have a comment and a question. Comment is, for a summary, what I did was I linked in with someone who I admired in the field and kind of mimicked his summary.
Yeah.
Because it was excellent on LinkedIn. I said, oh, that's a great. I was impressed when I read it, and I respected the individual a lot.
Yeah.
So I mimicked it. And then the question is, so obviously when you're looking for a job, it's like when I got on every morning.
Yeah.
You get on, you know, multiple times a day, but when you're in a job, and of course we're all busy, we still want to keep up. So what would you recommend in terms of, I'm going to try to look at it once a day.
Yeah.
What are some of the most important things I should look at if I'm just going to do a quick 5-minute check once a day?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the first thing I would do is go to the company page. Go to the companies that you really want to go to, and just look at that. Just see real quick in the morning, just like you're looking at a newspaper, what keywords. You could probably browse through that real quick. Let's say you want to be a product marketing manager, and there's nothing that says product marketing manager. You could probably skip through that and be good. Now, if that stands out for you that day, take you 2 seconds to do it, and all of a sudden you dig in a little bit deeper and see, did someone depart there? Is there a job opening there? So company page is the first thing I do. Second thing I do is just scroll down your news feed, just as long as you can, just to see what people are talking about, and what they're doing. At this point, I'm starting to get a lot of information, and I actually take the morning, maybe a couple minutes, and I just scroll through this. I see who's endorsing who's connected with who. You know, this is your network, so it's going to show you, your friends, what they're doing. And you never know. I mean, I might, after this, get a couple connections from you guys, and someone else is going to say, oh my God, you met that person? That's great. I've actually been dying to get to know that person because he or she knows someone in a company. You have no idea. But if you go through this and kind of see what your world is doing, and litmus test of where people are going, what they are liking, what they don't like, it's a good way to do that. So those are the 2 things I would check in the morning. And I always check like who's viewed your profile, just because like who's been creepy last night. Yeah.
This isn't something we've touched on yet, but maybe you're going there. And it's related to endorsements. So like when you're thinking about recommendations.
Yes.
You know, one of the things that I've noticed recently is there's somewhat of a kind of security issue with some companies in people being able to endorse your work if they're still at that company, like broker-dealers, for example, like or investment banks, like Goldman Sachs, First Boston, UBS. They prevent people from actually recommending you from a compliance standpoint.
Right.
So
there are certain fields in finance, you totally nailed it on the head, and we know that, is that there are certain things just because someone might write, that was a really good trade you made the other day on so-and-so and so, you know, and everyone's like, what, you bought 5,000 shares of Facebook? That's so stupid. But yes, in terms of recommendations, and we'll get to that, you know, there are companies that will allow that and there are companies that won't. But I will say this, recommendations are becoming increasingly important, especially from your peers. Actually, I'll tell you this, recruiters, at least from the top 5 tech companies that I know of, and I have friends in those, will say that if you work someplace for a year and not one person has recommended you there and you don't have it on there, it's kind of a red flag. Even if you work at a phenomenal company. And it doesn't necessarily have to be someone above you, it could just be a peer. But if you don't have that recommendation, it sends up a red flag as to why could this person within a year not have one person say something kind of nice about them? And it doesn't necessarily have to be about, you know, he executed this job really well, he closed this deal, and this M&A was really successful. It's a great person to work with, culturally awesome, loves, you know, great teamwork. That bolsters the ability for people then to say, you know what, looked at his LinkedIn profile, didn't really need to call him. Looks like 5 people recommended him. I've looked at the people that recommended him as a VP, someone below, someone at his own level. And they might even skip the phone interview and say, screw it, we want you to come in because it looks like you have some pretty great people recommending you. So anyone in school right now by any chance? Yeah, a lot of times people say, should I have my professor write something or classes? Absolutely. And I think a lot of times people wish they had their professors write them a recommendation, becomes a year later, and when you once were tight because you were in school, and now you're like, oh, I don't want to talk to this person. You know, that's an opportunity you don't want to miss. So if you are in school, you're getting your MBA program and whatnot, and there's an opportunity for someone in that program to write something about you, whether it's a fellow MBA candidate or a law school candidate, absolutely have them write you a rec. And write them one too. And a lot of times, don't even ask them for a rec. If you like someone, just go ahead and write them a recommendation, because A, people love getting that. And it's going to make them feel so guilty that they didn't write you one. They're going to write you a better one. So I would suggest doing that. And a lot of times to build that sale, play around with the advanced search. It's surprising what's going to come up. And you know, what's nice is it's up to date. It's real time. So whenever you're looking for a client or a potential business sale, these are things that you want to pay attention to. So I would say the advanced search is something that a lot of sales, I mean, our sales organization does it too. It's like, we need to go into XYZ company, who do we want to reach out to, you know, what do I have in common with them, and then you send that email to them and say, hey, you know, we'd love to talk to you about some proposal, and you close a big deal.
And I know you could write interested in, you know, opportunities.
Yeah.
Is there any other type of banners I could put, or any other flags I could raise?
So do you have a company page?
No.
So I would say on your company page, so we're becoming more and more the face of companies. So you can see, just look at, you know, I think that Google does it really well, where they just let people know what they're looking for, and what they're about, what their brand is, and what they do. So, you know, I would say at this point, if you don't have a LinkedIn company page, and salespeople might want to find you, they just can't gather more information unless they have your cell phone, which chances are they don't. So I would start a LinkedIn page as soon as possible, start growing those followers, and then, you know, just like people are interested in recruiting, people will be interested in your company for sales, and this is your storefront. Yeah.
So I'm wondering what your perspective is on this comment. So there's been, you know, whenever there's increased activity on someone's LinkedIn profile in my company's, at my company, the #1 comment that comes in from someone who walks in that day is they're looking for a job.
Right.
And it's basically any activity that's outside of our marketing and events team to promote our own company, right?
Yeah.
So how, what are your thoughts on that?
I would, yeah, we get that a lot, and people are like, oh man, like I don't want people to know that I've connected with so-and-so and a different company that's competitive. It's all a matter of viewing and editing your settings. So you can make yourself seem, you know, right now, just even when I said who's viewed your profile, I can change what people see about me, just to that granularity. Like, if I looked at one of your profiles, I've actually chosen to be completely, totally anonymous. If I wanted to, I could change that. So it's all the things that like that. Like, if you don't want people to know that you're following a company, you don't have to make that visibly apparel. So it is in settings, and it might take you a while to go to groups, companies, accounts, but you can cater it to whatever you like. And so it's up to you what you want to share, and what you don't want to share. I saw a question over here. Yeah.
Oh, I love your card bunch app, but I don't
Yeah.
think a lot of people know about it, so I thought maybe you could talk about it.
Yeah, I'm glad you liked that. It was a good, let's see. In connections, if you go to test drive the new LinkedIn contents and you continue, it's a really good way to sync in all of our, let's say you probably have contacts in multiple places like Card Bunch. If you hit the test drive the new LinkedIn contacts continue, you will be able to pull in that kind of information and make this your one giant mega